What examples of corruption have you guys heard of recently?
Well, this week I've been doing work experience and we were outside one of the main accountancy firms because of the tax dodging they do and the amount of money that they take from the poor countries, which means the government can't generate revenue to then spend on their own country. And someone, I'm not sure who it was, but said the correct spelling of aid is TAX, because if they had that money, then they could use it themselves to develop their country and spend it on education and healthcare.
I've heard of big organisations sending out aid to particular countries, but when the aid gets there, it doesn't get to the people. What happens is that someone who lives in that country maybe will come and collect the aid, and it's food that should be given out for free, and they're selling it for maybe like $1 each.
Because of corruption, because of the whole thing with the MP's expenses at the moment, people are, trust has become displaced, so people kind of think, oh, we can't trust our government. I just think it's a shame because people then don't really seem to have any faith in the ability of some governments and some organisations to govern. And I just kind of sit there and think, well, the media's kind of massively hyped this up, and it's a shame because what we should be doing is encouraging people to vote, encouraging them to sort of take an active stance in democracy and sort of really care about what our government can do overseas. I don't know, I think it's a shame.
The emphasis needs to be on sort of law and regulation, because all the politicians talking about them being in the spirit of the law, and they weren't actually doing anything illegal a lot of the time. They were just sort of making the most of what they could get out of the system.
Law is only words, do you understand? And you can interpret a word in a completely different way to the next person. So a law can always be manipulated. There's always a loophole. With tax, there's always a loophole. People think you have to pay tax, and you do, and you should pay tax, but people find ways around it. What can we actually do?
Why should we care about these other countries if it's just going to be corruption upon corruption upon corruption?
We just trust all these corporations, all politicians. We don't question them.
If we had that something that could be in place, that if they were to act in a corrupt way, that we could do something about it. But at the moment, I think a lot of people in England and throughout the world perhaps just feel helpless.
I don't know, I kind of disagree that in this country we do have a system of accountability. It's just that we either don't know about it or we maybe don't actually do enough about it. I think we're really lucky. We're lucky we can vote every 5 years. We're lucky we can go to our local MP and we can talk to them country.
In a case where we're lucky, shouldn't it just be our right? Shouldn't it be something that we...
So people should exercise that right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be like... I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time it's like, oh, we're lucky to do this, we're lucky to do that. It shouldn't be luck. It should be the way it is, do you know what I mean? Everyone's just a bit greedy.
If you take a country like, let's say, Nigeria, I worked there last summer, and from the minute that you leave your doorstep and the minute that you wake up, actually, you're bribing someone to do something. It's just the way the country is. It doesn't mean I'm a corrupt person, but that's the only way you can effectively work in that country.
So you're saying, Toby, if you're living in a bribe culture, a corrupt culture, the only way to exist in that culture is to pay every bribe?
It almost is like if you go to a country like that and you live in the right way, it's almost like you don't really get anywhere. It's very difficult to kind of live life.
Poverty is a cause of corruption, and then saying that poverty is a symptom of corruption, and it actually just creates this whole circle where people are corrupt and keep people in poverty, so people have to be corrupt sort of, and it's a cycle that needs to be broken through things like education and through people.
You know, should we give overseas aid if it's going to be...
Listen, I understand what you're saying, that why should we trust these countries if the countries are corrupt themselves?
I mean, if we take, analogy that Jesus used, like turn the other cheek, someone hits you on the right side, offering your left, it seems to... I mean, if you could take that analogy and we put it into this corruption system, it seems that if you know someone's going to be corrupt, Jesus is saying, yeah, still give them money, and it's up to them to decide how to use it.
I don't think it's very wise. Because Jesus also said that we should be wise as well. Like, democracy is the right way forward, is the way to go. Democracy promotes equality. If there's no poverty, then there'll be no corruption because people would want to take money from others.
It's difficult. I don't know what the answer is.
I think you always have corruption, in a sense. Well, as people, as Christians, you're supposed to obviously not be corrupt, but we have free will. Therefore, there will always be that small percentage that will go the other way. So it's not a sense of stopping it, that would be ideal. It's a sense of minimising the effects that's happening.
Some people are inherently selfish, and it's sad that it happens like that.